My father pushed me toward the door, my newborn crying in my arms. "You made your bed, now lie in it," he shouted. I walked out that night with nothing but a baby blanket and a fragile thread of hope. For years an aching silence stretched between us. But when they finally appeared at my door, anticipating a broken girl, the person I'd become left their composure, and their hands trembling. My name is Haley, and I was just 18 when my parents made a decision that forced me onto their porch one cold November night, clutching my 3-day-old baby and nothing else. For years they spun a tale of me leaving for college, meticulously omitting the truth of that night, or the true reason they'd chosen their church over their own daughter. But 3 years later when they showed up on my doorstep, desperate, shattered, begging for help with the secret they'd kept hidden from me, they had no idea what I'd unearthed in the forgotten basement of our old family business. The stunned disbelief on their faces as they stepped into the impossible world I'd forged from their abandonment. That single moment altered everything, and yet, nothing at all. This is a story of profound betrayal, and the fierce strength it took to reclaim a life that was almost lost. The night my world imploded began with my father's hands clamped tight around the kitchen table, shaking. Not from age or illness but from a raw vibrating rage. My mother stood rigidly behind him, her quietness far more terrifying than any scream. I held my tiny 3-day-old son against my chest, his fragile heartbeat a desperate flutter against my own, like a bird trapped in my ribs. "Get out." My father's voice was a low growl, barely audible over my baby's whimpers. "Get out of my house." The word struck me as strangely foreign. Just last Christmas this had been our home. The kitchen where I'd learned my grandmother's apple pie recipe, where my brother Jacob and I had carved pumpkins every autumn, where my mother had patiently taught me to fold dumplings. Now it belonged solely to him. "Dad, please," I whispered, carefully adjusting the thin receiving blanket around my son. "Just one night. I'll figure something out by morning, but tonight." "You should have thought about that before." His chair scraped loudly as he pushed back and rose. I recoiled, my hip hitting the counter. "Before you spread your legs for that boy. Before you brought shame into this house. Before you decided to keep it." The word, it hung in the air. A vile, poisonous accusation. My son stirred, his perfect miniature fingers curling and uncurling against me. He wasn't a nit. He was mine. He was everything. And he was only 3 days old. My mother finally spoke, her voice thin as tissue paper. "Richard, maybe we should." "No." He sliced the air with his hand, cutting her off. "We gave her choices. We offered to send her away until it was over. We told her about adoption. She made her choice." His eyes, the exact same hazel as mine, now stared at me with the cold blankness of a stranger. "Now she lives with it." The bitter irony wasn't lost on me. They had raised me in this very house, instilled in me beliefs in forgiveness, in family and second chances. Every Sunday for 18 years, we'd occupied the third pew at Riverside Baptist, my father's booming voice leading hymns about grace. But grace, it seemed, had its strict limits, and I had clearly overstepped them. "Mom," I pleaded, searching her face for any flicker of compassion. Her knuckles were white, gripping the back of my father's chair. Her mouth was a tight, painful line. "Mom, please. He's your grandson." Her eyes closed. That was her definitive answer. My father moved toward me, and for a wild, terrifying moment, I truly thought he might strike me. He had never laid a hand on me, but he had never looked at me with such virulent disgust either, like I was some diseased thing that needed to be surgically removed. Instead he reached past me, snatched my purse from the counter, and shoved it in